Hi, it's Destiny West, the editor of Fiction Terrifica, and I'm sitting here having a conversation with Casper. He's our first novelist for the launch of the new Fiction Terrifica with his book Post Encounter. How are you going?
You talking to me?
Yes, I'm talking to you.
I'm good. I'm good. I hope you're well.
I am indeed. We're going to get straight into it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So this is just to give our readers an insight into your book and what it's about. Mm-hmm. And hopefully sell a few copies from there.
Well, I hope so, because I owe money to the mob.
Okay, that's fine. And your father.
Well, it's the same difference.
Okay. Is this book part of a series? And can you tell us a little bit about it?
A little about a potential series, or a little about the book
About the
itself?
book, and if it's a potential series.
Well, the book is based on a lot of the conspiracy theories and real-world ufology, if you can really say that. And when I was a kid in the 80s, there was a documentary one night, and it was called UFO Cover-Up Live. And the guy from MASH, not Alan Alda, the other guy, he hosted this thing, and it was all about UFO conspiracies. And you know, I'm a kid, so I'm into that kind of thing, and it's really cool. And then they got to this segment about alien abduction, and that wasn't cool. That wasn't cool at all. So that kind of like burrowed into my subconscious, and it's kind of haunted me ever since. So it's a book surrounding all that kind of stuff, like Roswell and, you know, the Belgian UFO invasion and, you know, the abduction phenomenon and, yeah, that kind of stuff. And it's all kind of like brought together by this scenario in which this family is being held hostage by two men who claim to be part of some secret government organisation and later revealed themselves to not be human at all. One of them is a fully formed alien grey, I should say like a full alien grey, whilst his partner is an alien hybrid named Samuel California. And these two have been ordered by the US government to basically assassinate anybody here on in who starts to claim close encounters. So they find their way into the Patterson family's home after their young daughter has a UFO sighting of her own. The encounter that she has buries information into her subconscious, which the aliens, Samuel California and his partner, Mr. G, are in desperate need to acquire. So they basically hold the family hostage until this information, which the sighting is implanted, said information will mature enough for them to be able to harvest it.
Is there a reason that it's set in Australia, or is it because you're an Australian author?
It's because I'm an Australian author, and yeah, I'm a Melburnian, so anything that I write pretty much will be set in Melbourne. You know, it's a touchstone sort of thing. It's what I'm familiar with.
So getting back to the book, so is it going to be part of a series?
Depends on how many people buy this one.
But you foresee it as part of a series?
If people buy it, yeah.
Being a bit elusive there.
Yeah. No, seriously, I owe money to the mob.
Okay. Yeah, well, shouldn't we blur out your face then, so they're not aware of you?
Well,
Yeah.
I think I'm wearing sunglasses.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I thought that was for other reasons.
It's the middle of the night. Jesus.
Okay, the cover is very interesting. Can you tell us what's behind it or what inspired it?
When I was a kid, my old man used to take me to the video shop a lot, and I've always been into horror films, even from a young age, and my father was one of these parents who just let me watch anything, even though it was like R-rated and whatnot. And I remember Alice, Sweet Alice, which is one of my favourite films now, by Alfred Stoll, and the cover art and the poster art was really, really shocking. Even now it's kind of shocking. It's like, you know, the baby with the knife going through it and the mask peering through the shopping bag. And I remember turning the cover over and seeing this kind of like face looking through the bars of what looked to be a crib. And I've kind of taken a lot of that imagery and placed it into my work. Because I mean, that film was had such like intense visuals.
It was also influenced by Communion too, wasn't it?
My book, well...
The cover.
Yeah, okay. Alright, you're going to have to stop there. Okay? Because the other name for Alice Sweet Alice was Communion. It had 2 names.
Oh, okay.
It had 3 names. Holy Terror, Communion, and Alice Sweet Alice.
Well, see, I didn't know that. We can keep that in the interview. Why would you... You don't have to worry about it. See, that's a little bit of trivia that even I didn't know, that this horror buff over here knows. I'm referring to the Communion.
You're referring to the Philippe Mora film from 1989.
Yes, that is correct.
And Lindsay Krause.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So that film was like a huge thing for like, I don't know, it's one of those films that you see as a kid and just completely terrorizes the living fuck out of you because it's like so frightening, the idea. It's not just, you know, home invasion, but home invasion by these fucking freaky things that don't even remotely look human. And you know, that was a great film. Everybody bagged that film out, but if you just go along with it, it's actually quite brilliant. So I'm a big Philippe Mora fan, and I mean, everybody knows that picture. Everybody knows that picture of the alien with the huge black eyes, and that's what essentially Mr. G is. He's one of those guys.
So would you say that you've got a fear of aliens?
Not particularly, no.
No?
No, because I actually think that those kind of like the willowy ones with the big black eyes are actually kind of beautiful. I know that sounds odd, but...
Beautiful till they're probing you. With various devices that pull out of spaceship walls.
Yeah.
No? Not so beautiful then, are they?
Christopher Walken can do it.
Yeah, that's true, but Christopher Walken can do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
When my mother was pregnant with me, she was really... You know, she was really excited and everything, and she had this feeling that one day I was going to become somebody. And my mother was a big Johnny Cash fan. And Johnny Cash just happened to be playing in this venue in England during her pregnancy with me, and she was visibly showing and everything, but she was determined to go see Johnny Cash because she was such a huge fan, and her father had been a fan. And she gets to the concert and she watches it, and it's fantastic. And this is when Johnny was kind of on and off a little bit with his health and the drugs and the drink. And my mother wanted to meet him after the show, so she went to the back of this venue with my father, and they stood waiting for Johnny Cash. It was like the exit where the tour bus was. And Johnny comes out. There's June Carter and his band, and it's like this surreal moment. And my mother's like, Johnny, Johnny, and he turns around and he looks at her. And she's like, Johnny, I just love you so much, and you've brought me so much happiness musically over the years, and you're like a prophet to me. And I'm going to make sure that my son, my unborn child, listens to your music every day and is moulded into the man that you are. And Johnny looked at my mother, and I swear, he goes, Lady, I don't give a fuck. Like that. And he turns around, he's about to get back on the bus, but he stops. It's like he has this moment, this realization. And he gets off the bus, and he turns back to my mother, and he goes, Lady, forgive me for what I've done. And then he goes, Father in heaven, bless this child. And then he said to my mother, call him Casper. And he got back on the bus, and they drove away. And that's a true story.
So do you think that you're possessed by the soul of Johnny Cash then?
I think that's stupid. Yeah, that's a really stupid question. Let's move on, shall we? Let's not be ridiculous.
Oh dear. Okay. Let's get into more about the writing side of things. What's the hardest thing about writing?
Starting. When I write, I do like a skeleton, and then from my skeleton I just build it up. So I just write a really vague outline of the story, and then I just go through it, and I build it up, and I have ideas and stuff, and so it kind of evolves, you know. So I just let my work evolve. It's testament to my laziness.
So you do have like a plot outline before you start. You just don't start and randomly let it go where it goes. You've got a formula.
I come up with a concept and then I take it from there.
But with your concept, do you also have the ending in mind, or is that something that...
No, the ending to Post Encounter was really difficult because I made my villains so extremely powerful. It was actually hard to figure out a way to...
Kill them off?
Yeah, to kill them off. But I managed to do it.
Yeah, that's
I didn't kill anybody.
Yes, well, we won't get into that, will we? We were trying to sell your book here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, how did you get into, I mean, this whole, like, you know, obviously, as a child in the womb, you were blessed by Johnny Cash, but I mean, how did you get into art? Who else inspires you?
Who else inspires me?
I read that John Carpenter is a huge influence.
Yeah, John Carpenter is like one of my cinematic idols.
Mm-hmm. About writing?
I mean, like I'm like a real pop culture writer. You know how you're going to get these pretentious fucks and they're going to sit in cafes and stuff talking about some guy from like 1947 who wrote 2 books in Germany and, you know, but, you know, you need to know that stuff, otherwise you can't be a real writer. I like writing stories. I developed my craft over the years from practice. I like TV and movies and, you know, I grew up on Spielberg and slasher films and, you know, so in terms of my influences, it's just that kind of like trashy pop culture. I'm not the most literary person in the world, you know. I don't need to try to impress people with the fact that, you know, you hear people refer to like, oh, you know, I love the works of Mr. Burroughs. And it's like, shut up, you fucking... Seriously? Really? No, I mean, like, of course I've read Burroughs, but I mean, it's like, you know, they take it as this, you know, it's so paint by numbers. Like, if you're going to have an artistic journey, have your artistic journey. Don't have the artistic journey of everybody bohemian who came out of the university before you.
Okay, so
I love Pac-Man and Alex Kidd and Miracle World and Superman and Elvis and the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Sex Pistols, and I like the Batman TV show, and I like crap. I like rubbish, brain-rotting rubbish, and if that's what you like, then read my books.
yes, we know that you're a huge comic book fan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where do you think, or how do you think that you've evolved creatively?
I think I've actually gotten to the point where I can be I'm a writer now. I'm actually a writer. I can write books that, you know, other people find impressive and other people view as actual works of art, you know. And it doesn't always matter what people think, but really sometimes it does matter what people think, you know. So I think I've matured and I've had so many years of practice, and that's the most important thing, is practice. Like, you know, I've been writing for like 25 years of my life, and I'm just about to have a book published now, you know. It's not like, you know, it's like I can't tell you how I've evolved. All I can say is that I've gotten to such I don't know, I've improved so much that I'm now ready to be unleashed on the world.
Mm-hmm. But writing's not your only medium, is it? You're pretty much a multimedia artist.
Yeah. But art is art. Like, to me, making a film and writing a book is no different. It's the same thing. You put in the same amount of work, and it's just a different... See, film's great, because film's like having what's in here, out here, but not that you ever manage to accomplish. fully transplanting what's in your head into reality. But it's just, that's the only difference. Everything else is the same. You still have to start, you have to write, you have to mould, and you have to let it evolve, you know.
Mm-hmm. But you're a musician also, aren't you?
Same thing, you know. Like, my music is, like, really bad. Like, it's...
That you're overcritical of yourself.
No, I mean, like, when I say that, it's like lo-fi bedroom indie music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you grew up listening to Jad Fair or Daniel Johnston and all that, you'll appreciate it. I mean, it's that kind of pretentious. I mean, you know I can come off as pretentious, but I'm not really. I mean, like, I'm not like a fucking hipster or anything. I mean, yeah.
Just like Gabriel scream, this is ferocious, you know what you mean. Waiting for the night to choke out the day, uncover your heartache and love it away. Here is my notion, it's fractured and broken. I ruin my reputation, I'm never going home again. I'm waiting for stars to run out of purgatory. Awkward feet.
So any words of wisdom for writers?
I don't have any words of wisdom.
Well, what do you wish someone had told you? If, like, say that you could have spoken to one of your writing mentors, what do you think they could have told you that could have helped you?
Okay.
Don't do it for the money.
Writing mentors. So, if I could speak to Matt Groening. It's not about not doing it for the money, it's just be happy with what you're doing. You know, it's not about money. And that sounds like a real pretentious thing to say, but really, I mean, like, it's not, I mean, like, I've never had money, and writing's kept me happy many years. So it's about the quality of the work you do, not about how much success you attain. Even if you publish, it doesn't matter if you're published. I mean, like, really, I know this doesn't sound too good from a published author, and I'm appreciative of that, but don't ever let yourself get down if it never happens for you in that regard, because it's the writing itself that matters.
It's about the passion.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're just doing it to get published, well, good luck. I mean, like, because it's not easy under any circumstances. It's, you know, at the moment. Yeah.
But what you're trying to say is don't give up.
Oh, yeah, don't give up. But I mean, if you genuinely love it, you won't give up.
That's very true. But I mean, I think a lot of people or authors expect overnight success.
There's elderly people who write stories for the fun of it and don't need it to be some financial windfall in their life so they can live in a mansion or, you know, go skiing in New Zealand or something.
Well, there's lots of, people that write in and have secret books put away that nobody actually ever gets to read. They don't share with anybody.
So,
it's just from the pure pleasure of it.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what are you working on at the moment that you can share with our readers?
I'm finishing a film that myself and my brother made called Dark Night of the Werewolf. It's the first film. It's my first film, really. I'm directing it, and I kind of wrote it. I did write it, but it's a very do-it-yourself kind of like guerrilla film that we did about a guy undergoing a transformation in his late 20s that is unpleasant for all concerned. And it's set in Melbourne, and it's a different type of werewolf film. I didn't really want to do the whole standard werewolf spiel. I wasn't really interested in doing that. I was more interested in examining the myths of lycanthropy. All those stories about Jean Grenier and Peter Stubb and all those kind of like guys who are, they're part of true crime, but they're also part of like, mythology. And they've never really been touched on in films before. So I actually play a guy in the film called Jean Grenier, which was one of the younger people to be arrested and tried for lycanthropy in the 1400s in France. So that's the kind of that's what I wanted to examine, those crimes and those trials, but imagine that they were happening today, and imagine somebody like that existed today.
The film is also drawn from your experiences with mental illness as well.
Yeah, this is post-encounter. I mean, you know, Samuel California and Mr. G are whatever you want them to be, and that can also mean bipolar. And you know, it's like that saying, the black dog. You know, they relate depression and they relate mental illness to a black dog. It's kind of like these guys that love these two Rottweilers who've just entered into this suburban household and taken this family hostage. So it all relates to the mental illness. Yeah.
So, do you think that you would be as creative if you didn't have bipolar?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm enhanced or anything. I feel like I'm debilitated. There are times where I feel a bit different than other people and other artists, and I see things a bit differently. But I don't know. I don't think I'm any more creative than anybody else. Anybody can do this. You know.
Yeah, but you've also got to have the inspiration or the passion to do it, and usually in any type of art, it is influenced by something that happens in your life.
Yeah. Well, you know, my whole life has been kind of like phantasmagorical. You know, it's been kind of weird. And I've had a lot of inspirations that I didn't really want to have, and hallucinations and whatnot. So they all find their way into my artwork as well. You know, is it a blessing that I kind of have bipolar disorder and I'm a filmmaker and a writer and a musician? Kind of, but at the end of the day, I have that in me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do it at all. You know, I'd be a carpenter.
Yeah, I know that, but what I'm trying to say is, so do you believe that you know, it's inspired your work? Obviously, I mean, without bipolar, would you have been able to do Dark Night of the Werewolf? Because you wouldn't have been going through those experiences that inspired these things.
Like, you know, that's the thing. Like, I got so sick making that film that was a period of my life where I was so mentally unwell that I don't even remember making a lot of that film. I mean, I remember key scenes that we did and everything, but really that's something that I've been working on for nearly 7 years now. And a lot of the scenes in it where I appear to be completely out of my mind, I am. You know, that wasn't really a joke. And my brother was living with me at the time, and like, you know, he said it was extremely disturbing at times, the things that I'd say or come out with or want to do and film. And so he started filming it, and we kind of like wove it into this collage. And I managed to get a storyline that's, you know, it's very like David Lynch is one of my idols. I mean, he's probably, you know, top 3 for me with Carpenter and Hitchcock. Yeah, so it's disturbing for me to watch now, because it's kind of like going back to that time.
And how were you during the process of writing Post Encounter?
I was really sick then too. I mean, I remember writing a book, but very vaguely. Very vaguely.
Okay. Do you find it hard to release your work to the public? Do you find it hard to let go?
Yeah, I do. And it's a very, very difficult thing to do. I've had a great problem with it. But if I didn't, you know, the work that I didn't let go is the work that's being published. So, and either way, I wrote a good book.
Yeah, but why do you have a trouble letting go of something?
Because you don't really, if it doesn't encapsulate your vision, then you feel like you failed. You feel like a failure. I'm a failure. I can't take it. That's how you feel. You feel like if anybody, like, you know, if I didn't get it all in there. I didn't manage to like make people see what I see.
Yeah. Mhm. Well, I think it's up to the readers to decide that, or decide your fate, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think as writers we're all critical over our own work. Exactly. So, is there anything else you want to tell us about Post Encounter before we wrap it up?
Buy it?
Yeah, besides buy it.
Well, actually, you should buy 3 copies.
3?
One for yourself and for friends, if you have any. If you don't, your parents. And if you've killed them, your parole officer.
Okay, so Post Encounter is going to be available on Kindle for $3.99 and also on Amazon for $14.99 in print. And you can find out more about Casper on our website, which will also give links to his website, which will be launched very soon. You can also find him on Facebook, and he will be soon embarking into the world of Twitter. How do you feel about that?
I don't care, I'm brainwashed by everything else.
Okay, anything else finally you want to say to your readers before we say goodbye?
No.
This is your chance to sell your book. Come on, tell them why they should buy it.
Do yourself a favour. Buy Post Encounter.
I mean, guys, it's going to appeal to horror lovers, and it's also going to appeal to science fiction lovers. It's pretty out there. It's pretty full on. And it really doesn't have any boundaries. So, if you want a good read.
Read it.
Exactly.
Do
Okay.
yourself a favour.
All right.
Send it to your nana.
I don't think Nana would be really suitable, but yes.
Send it to your nana and 5 of your nana's bingo friends.
Okay. All right.
If your nana doesn't have bingo friends, then get her some. And make sure they buy the book.
Most importantly, you buy the books, guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
just buy the book.
And don't forget to leave a review. Okay. Thank you. Good night.